my baby.
I'm Dana Denha.
And I am Melissa Bondi, and this is Adventures in Parenthood, where we take a ride on the roller coaster that we call parenting.
Technology has changed lives in so many ways, making amazing strides in medicine, information at your fingertips, shopping with a click of a button. But with all the greatness that technology brings, there's also a dark side, like being overly exposed online. Melissa, have you ever felt like there was something about you, an image, or maybe you gave something to an ex? And it doesn't even have to be online because obviously we're a little bit older, so some of this stuff is online's not as relevant. But have you ever had something like that where it was just like really uncomfortable and you're like, well, now this is out of my hands?
I had before, and it's exactly right. It's out of your hands, and usually it's that click the button. You click it, and then you're like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? Or you get that sense of panic. It could be anything from, I mean, buying something online, I think that you maybe shouldn't have, or you didn't tell your husband you bought, or
Yeah.
something that's going to catch up with you. And once you hit that button, once you hit send or pay or approve, and in that feeling of doom and gloom and panic sets in, and sometimes people don't know how they're going to react. And I've been there, and I've done that over the years. I wouldn't say anything catastrophic, but I've been there, and it's very unnerving.
Well,
I
what
don't
we're
know.
talking about today is like about teens sending nudes and stuff, which is obviously a real problem. And I will say I've never done it like where I've sent nudes online or anything like it.
Sure.
Like in high school, I let one of my first real boyfriends take a topless shot of me. And then when we broke up,
Mm.
he showed everyone he knew basically. And then they told me. And so,
Oh,
like, this is
Dana.
like one of those dumb, like, I was a dumb kid that didn't know any better and
Right.
trusted someone that I thought I could trust.
Right.
And then they ended up being a completely horrible person that probably still has that photo and probably still looks at it.
So, Dana, so you're saying that you were a minor when you did this?
Yeah, I was, but I didn't take the picture and I never saw the picture or owned the picture.
But right, but this happened to you when you were under
I was like a
18.
14-year-old. I was a
Yeah.
14-year-old.
And that's now, I don't think kids realize, like, you didn't, we didn't, I didn't, we didn't realize the gravity of doing that at that age is that could be catastrophic for
Oh
you,
yeah, I
for
mean,
your
like
family.
obviously it hasn't showed up online anywhere or
No,
anything,
no, no,
but
right.
it's like something that I obviously regretted as soon as I knew that this was like something that he was doing. I'm like, why did I ever even allow that? Why was I so dumb as a kid to allow this person that I
No, yeah.
obviously didn't even know that well then in the end? Do you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't
Hmm.
say, but you thought you
Right,
did. Yeah.
right. And
And so
now, yeah, us as parents, we know the consequences of doing that. So
And
it's
and
all
I think like that now I know this happened to me. So when my daughter's of age, I'm gonna have to tell her the story or story
yeah,
similar to it to let her
yeah.
understand that it's not okay and that this stuff can come back to bite you. And our next guest is actually going to talk about this.
Mhm.
Parenting in the digital age definitely comes with its own unique set of struggles, especially as kids grow from precious littles to curious teens. Issues like sexting or even worse, sextortion come into play. Joining us is Alisha Meneely, Government and Community Outreach Coordinator for Protect My Child. Welcome back to the show, Alisha.
Thanks, girls. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Can you just get into a little bit about a synopsis of what Protect My Child is and how you help people?
Yep. So Protect My Child is a registry that is actually through the state of Michigan. You as a parent, you would go on and you would register you and your child's email, cell phone number, and any apps that they are using, like Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And what will happen is they will stop you and your child, who is a minor, will stop receiving anything that a minor shouldn't be receiving in the first place. So any advertisements from the tobacco industry, which does include vaping, marijuana, because that is legal here in the state of Michigan, alcohol, pornography, and online gambling. And online gambling is kind of new because It just became, it's still recent here in Michigan where it became law, but it's been huge. They do so much advertising through email that a lot of minors are receiving online advertisements and getting addicted to online gambling. So this will stop all those advertisements from coming in. They won't even come into their spam.
When you receive like an email about online gambling and then you click on it to go do it, does it just say, "Are you 18?" And then you click
Correct.
yes. Yeah. So it's super
Correct.
easy. Like there's
Yep.
no
Yep.
safeguards in any way.
Nope. And a lot of the vaping ads that are emailed and texted are the same. Are you 21? So, because the age obviously is 21 now. So, but yeah, it's just a box that you have to click.
Okay, yeah. I was just curious about that. So today we've had you on the show not that long ago, but we want to talk about something a little bit different. And I think it's something that affects almost everyone at some point in their life, especially nowadays. And
hmm
what I'd first like to talk about is the sexting aspect of it. And can you explain for those who may not know what it is, or like maybe a little deeper about how it works?
Yeah. So sexting, I think it's been around for quite a while, but it was when we had cameras is probably when it started. And we would take, naked pictures of ourselves and, give them to our significant others or whatever. Well, now that we have cell phones and all these apps, younger people are sexting. And when I say younger, I mean minors. And unfortunately, when they are sexting, when they are taking pictures of themselves or of others without clothes on or half nude even, they are producing and distributing child pornography. And this is something, no matter how many times I talk to kids or parents are talking to their children, they are still doing it. They are not understanding that it's against the law, and that not only that, like forget about the law. Once you send that picture, you no longer own it. It is not your picture anymore. And it can be sent all over the world for years, and you will never get all of those pictures of yourself back. So I think there's like two dynamics of sexting. There's the law, but then there's the emotional aspect after you press that send. And it's amazing. I go to a lot of parent meetings that are in schools, and I'm actually heading to Paw Paw tomorrow to talk about this specific subject. It is amazing when I'm talking to administrators, teachers, or RSOs. This sometimes is half their day. They're learning about somebody that has a naked picture on their phone, and then they're having to deal with it. They're having to call law enforcement and bring them in. They're having to take away the phones. They're having to investigate. This isn't happening like in their home. It's happening at school. And it's happening every single day. And I don't have an answer of how to get kids to stop doing this, but it's getting worse.
If you are a 14-year-old and you're sexting naked pictures of yourself to people, could you get in trouble for distributing child porn then at some point?
Correct. You can. And if let's say someone sends you, Dana, a picture of a naked kid, you then you have then child pornography on your phone. Even if you did not ask for it, you can get in trouble for that if you don't go to the authorities first. So sometimes kids are getting these pictures and not even asking for it, but they're keeping them on their phone.
Mhm.
So, Alicia, what are the ages that this is starting at? Because this is very disturbing. This conversation right now is very upsetting as a
I
parent.
have heard as young as fourth grade. In here in the state of Michigan, I've been at a school where there was a fourth grader who had naked pictures of a friend on their phone, and then all the way up through adulthood. Adults also do this. It's not illegal for adults.
Mhm.
It can emotionally harm them at a later date. But yeah, this is starting very, very young because fourth graders have cell phones.
Right.
And they don't understand, I don't think, the concept that that taking a naked picture of someone is wrong. And
Right.
it's not just like girlfriend, boyfriend, or significant other kind of situations. I'm seeing more and more where a girlfriend group is sending naked pictures of themselves to each other. I don't get that concept. My girlfriends and I do not do that at 46 years old.
I've never done it.
But it's become a really big thing.
I wonder if it's like about body image, and they're
That's
like,
what I'm
"Oh, how
thinking.
does my body look?" Because, like very young now, girls are really into skincare. I'm like, "You have perfect skin. Your skin is like a baby's butt. Why do you need like $50 skincare bottles?" So I think it is about like this stuff that people see on YouTube and things, and it's like, "Oh, well, how does my body look compared to my friend's body?"
Yeah,
Hmm.
there's definitely that social media aspect to this, and why, in my opinion, and why girls or boys may do that, like what you just said, as far as sending it amongst their friends or each other. Definitely comparing, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well,
Um,
even girls, do you like this bra on me? Or should I be wearing this bra? I mean, that still can be considered child pornography. There is a line.
Yeah. So, Alicia, what are you finding when you're going in and talking to educators and the folks at the schools? Um, like, it sounds like it's the most prevalent, you said, as far as like what's happening with technology in the schools. What I know you said you don't have an answer, but oh my God, how can we help? What can we do as parents um, to kind of combat this or educate?
We have again, I mean, and this is just your typical, we have to talk to our children about this. I think I am on the sex ed board for my school district. I also think that this kind of stuff needs to be part of sex ed because saying it's kind of the new sex or the
Mm-hmm.
new dating. This has got to be included in those classes because they probably aren't being talked about at home. So that's one thing I encourage schools, but for parents, again, it's like the sex talk. You have to have that conversation and you have to have it more than once. And I think it's also when I talk to my son about it, he is 15. I also make it sound like I'm not just talking to him, like, don't you be doing this? I also want him to be like, hey mom, so if one of his friends had gotten caught up in some kind of sexting problem, I want him to be able to talk to his friends about it as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to sextortion, like, which we'll get to, but it's just like any other sex talk. It's just another thing to talk to our kids about.
I have a daughter that has swim in school. So she's like used to being naked in front of her friends because they have to get into their bathing suits in the locker room. And then I notice like when she has sleepovers, she'll just like these girls don't care. They're just like,
No.
it's like they don't care at all. But I also think that that's like sort of like when I was an 8-year-old, I don't think I would have felt comfortable naked in front of my friends, where like this is like a blurred line that's happening at a really young age, where I don't want her to feel uncomfortable being naked because she has to get dressed in a locker room. But
Right.
I can recall like being in junior high and having to get into my gym clothes for the first time and get like dressed in front of other kids that were my age. And I found it to be extremely uncomfortable. But like we're getting rid of that uncomfortableness level now. Like the kids don't feel uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, there's no uncomfortableness with naked bodies anymore. I remember that too in gym class when they told us we had to take showers. All of us girls looked at each other and were like, no, we're not. And we
Yeah.
didn't. But now it's not a big deal at all. And it's one thing to be, that's awesome that people are feeling comfortable with their bodies. But again, there's a line.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like, okay, you're comfortable in person with your friends. You don't need to
Yeah.
take a picture of it. If you are at the age where you're starting to wear a bra and you're like, oh, I want my girlfriend to tell me if this is the right bra, go see her, go to her house, go shopping together.
All right.
That's too much work when you can just snap a picture.
I know we have to get rid of that stigma. So, Alicia, what's the definition of sextortion? Let's talk about that.
So it's pretty much fraud. So sexting, unfortunately, has now led to this thing called sextortion. And there's different kinds. Again, this happened to a friend of mine. She had sent she was with a man for a couple of years and had sent him a number of naked pictures while they were together. Well, she broke up with him and he just the threat of using those
Mm.
pictures of sending them is sextortion. You don't actually have to send them to others to hurt that person. Just the threat is fraud and is sextortion and can become a federal case because you're using a cell phone. So just that threat is sextortion. But unfortunately, a lot of people are following through with that kind of blackmail.
Ah, that's
Yeah,
very
I can
dangerous.
actually remember a pretty high profile case where Rob Kardashian and Black China broke up and he put some very inappropriate pictures of her on Instagram and then
Mhm.
there was a court case about it.
Yep, absolutely. And if he hadn't done that, even if he had texted her and threatened it, he still can be prosecuted. That's
Mhm.
what a lot of people don't understand.
Do you
They
know
don't
what the
have to
big
actually
difference
follow
is?
through.
He has a lot of money in his family, so he was able to wipe that clean and he didn't get in trouble for it. But
Yeah.
that's not going to be the case with someone just like an average Joe like you or I.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. And what's happening now is now there's these hackers. One thing when we talk about sextortion or sexting or domestic violence, or when we talk about victims in general, we are usually talking about girls being the victims.
Yeah.
In the last, I would say 3 to 4 years, boys have become the victims of sextortion at an alarming rate.
Mm.
And it's something we don't talk to boys about this kind of stuff. It's always, oh, I got to talk to my daughter. I got to talk to my daughter about sex and about pictures and about loving your body and all that stuff. Well, boys now are really, really becoming targets of predators. And
Mm.
how this is working is they'll be on Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook, and their account won't be private. And they will receive a picture from a beautiful girl around their age. And she will say something like, hey, I saw your picture. You're friends with so and so. You're a friend of so and so, and you're really good looking. So I just wanted to get a hold of you. And then they start this conversation. And then the next thing you know, she's like showing naked body parts of herself. And then he like responds back, oh my, you're so hot or whatever.
Mm.
And then once she knows she's got him, she will say, now you send me a picture of you. I want to see this part of your body.
Mm.
And they send that. And immediately that girl sends back, if you don't send me $200, I'm going to take those pictures and I'm going to send them to all of your friends and family, and it's going to be all over the internet. And unfortunately, we have had 3 boys in the state of Michigan die by suicide because this
Ah.
exact thing happened to them. And one of the boys, from the time that girl contacted him to the time he died, it was 40 minutes. He panicked. And that's what he thought. That's the only thing he thought he could do. He was so scared to tell his parents. He didn't have the money. And this is happening a lot. This has been in the news a lot. Thankfully, there were 8 people involved in one of these sextortion cases. 5 of them were from the United States, 3 of them were from Nigeria, all in on this. And they had made approximately $200,000 doing this to young boys.
Mm.
Wow. We're actually going to take just a quick break
Yeah.
and we'll be back in exactly 60 seconds with more from Alisha. We're back with Alisha Meneely with Protect My Child, and we were just talking about sextortion and how it actually affects young men a lot. And you were mentioning about how they get targeted by people. It sounds like a catfish situation where they have fake nudes of a woman and then in turn get real nudes from the person they're talking about. Um, and you were saying that suicide rates are higher because of this, because it is like they're putting young people who don't know how to problem solve as well in a panicked situation, and they do not want probably their parents, friends, relatives, anybody to know about it.
No, no. And they really believe that these people, if they don't send the money, that,
Mhm.
their lives are going to be ruined. And a lot of times these
Right.
kids will send the money and then they'll just ask for more money. They will
Yeah,
never
because they
stop.
still have the photos.
I was just
Correct.
gonna say that's a circle that won't stop if you get
No.
caught up in this. What? Yeah,
Yeah, the boy from Marquette, unfortunately, where this case now where the 8 men have been indicted, he had sent $300 already, and they had asked for more.
mm,
Yeah, and you figure you're a teen. How much money do you have? Do you have a job? I mean,
right.
max, you got like a few $100s in the bank, probably. They're
Right.
trying to get money from people that don't have money.
That's the interesting part. I think that too. I'm like, why do they think kids have all this money?
Right.
Yeah.
Or
And are there
or
like certain sites that are targeting people? Are they dating apps? Like, what are young people going on that they are getting targeted by these groups of people?
It's mostly Snapchat and Instagram. And
mm,
through Snapchat, there's something called Snap Cash, and you can send money right through there. But it is mostly, yeah, the apps that young kids are on.
okay.
And so, what sort of advice would you give people? Because this is obviously they're talking to a stranger. So, like, is it like if it's too good to be true, it's not true? Like, what would you say to like if your son weren't caught up in something like this? Why
And
would
I
a
talked
woman
to
just
him.
send you nudes? Why would she just think you're the hottest guy ever and not know you?
I think men, they're easy. Like and they're 16 and their hormones are going, 90 miles an hour. So
Sure.
they but I have talked to my son about this. And it was funny when I first brought it up, he looked at me like, I would never do that. And I'm like, well, hold on. He's 15. And I said, maybe you won't, but maybe you'll still get a picture like that. Or maybe your friend will come to you and be like, dude, I think I messed up. I sent this picture. This woman is
Mm,
asking for money. I don't know what to do. I want him to be able to help his friend. So, what I told Liam, if this happens to him or to his friends, first and foremost, do not send the money if you haven't already. Do not send the money to immediately block them. And if they are comfortable, please contact the authorities. I know a lot of kids are, first tell your parent and your parent tells authorities. A lot of people don't like to call the police on this stuff because they're scared and embarrassed. That's the
yeah.
only way we can catch these people.
That's
So most importantly, block them. And a lot of times they'll still try and kind of find you on other apps. So you might have to actually disable your accounts.
hmm,
Okay.
that's good
Yeah.
advice. That's so true. That holds so true as far as what you said regarding contacting authorities. It's just that embarrassment, if someone doesn't want to be exposed or, oh my gosh, we did this, he or she did this, we did this. So I think, yeah, we need to get over that stigma, like you said. Otherwise, it won't stop. This will continue, and that's really, really disheartening. What do you think, or what about taking advantage of Protect My Child? What do you suggest parents do as the first step to, I understand talk, right? So talk with your kids first, but what about the program that we're talking about? What are some of the resources that you suggest?
There are so many free parental controls out there that parents are not taking advantage of. And when it comes to Snapchat or especially Instagram, there are so many there used to be none for these apps. Instagram, I have to admit, has gotten really good. But you're as a parent, when you download that app or when your kid downloads that app, you have to make sure they are putting in their right birth date. For
Mm,
example, for Instagram now, if you are a minor, even if your account is private or not private, if you'll receive a naked picture through Messenger, it's all blurred.
mm,
But as long as you're a minor. And also, if you are a minor when you sign up, you are not allowed, or strangers are not allowed to private message you. So you automatically are kind of protected when you download that app and you put in your correct birth date. But
mm.
again, kids can change that birth date. So you have to be on it and continue to check that app. Um, so there are parental controls. Snapchat doesn't have a ton. You can see in Snapchat now who so if you are a parent and you are connected to your child, through parent pairing, you can see who your kids' friends are. So like a rule so Liam, we allowed Liam to start using Snapchat about a year ago. That's where all of his lacrosse buddies talk. That's where they talk about practice and games. I was so hesitant. But once the parental controls came out and I could see who his friends were, our rule was you cannot be friends with anyone on Snapchat that I don't know. Now, could he switch that up every once in a while? Absolutely. But we've had enough talks, and I'm slowly trying to get that trust from him, and so far so good. But now, like I think I've told a lot of people, and I told you ladies last time, my daughter will be a completely different story. I will not be trusting her like I trust my son as of right. Every kid's different. But there's just so many parental controls out there that are free that parents do not know about for each app, for each device, even for your router.
Well, I will say from our chat that we had the last time, I went into Roblox and I put on the parental control. And
Perfect.
and I didn't say anything to her about it. I just did it. I wasn't even thinking. She asked me to do something on there and I was like, "Oh, the parental control." And I just did it. So then earlier this week, she's like, uh, someone put the parental control on my Roblox and I can't play certain games. But when I was hanging out with my cousins, they could all play those games. And I go, what cousins were you talking about? Because I know this isn't true. Because I know like two of them probably don't have parental controls, but three of them that she was hanging out with do. And I was like, there's no way that these three were allowed to play the games you're talking about. And she goes, okay, no, no. So like there is like this. Yes, and it did open a dialogue for us about it. And I'm like, I put them on to keep you safe. I'm like, you're young. You need some safeguards. That's just how it is. And so I
Good
think
for
it was
you.
like a good intro to what the future could hold. Because we all know that the future is a lot harder when they're a little older than when they're like an 8-year-old and it's just like about playing a game, you know?
Right. Yeah, and I'm just for those of you that's listening, I just put on the Protect My Child Facebook page step-by-step parental controls for Roblox this morning.
Oh,
So if
nice.
anybody, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
But one of the things that we talked about last time, and I think this is really true, and you were sort of talking about it too, for like sexting and sextortion, is for the parent to be on social media. So, like, I
Yeah.
don't know Snapchat. I've never used Snapchat. But I will say if my daughter down the road gets on, and I don't even think it'll be Snapchat then, I think it'll be something that we can't even fathom at this point in our lives. But I do think you're right. You have to be on there because you might see that this one woman is just like constantly commenting on your son's stuff. And you're like, who is this person?
Right.
I don't know this person. And then you could ask them about it. Like, do you know X, Y, and Z? Like, who is this person that keeps talking to you? And like
Right.
about, because there are a lot of people online that you don't necessarily know. Like, I personally am like someone that if I don't know the person, they're not going to be my friend. Like, I'm like, no, I don't know you. I don't need you to look at my stuff and vice versa. But I think like for kids nowadays, it's really about having the most followers, likes, and this and that. And if you don't let a bunch of people that you don't know be your friend, then you don't get as many views and likes.
Right. That number is so important to kids.
Yeah.
That number of followers and friends. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, we're actually out of time. So I thank you
That goes
so
so
much for
fast.
talking about this with us. It's really enlightening to hear about this stuff, especially because I do have younger kids right now, but it's something that it will be in my mind and I'll be aware of later.
Great. Thanks for having me. I love coming on your show. You guys make it very easy.
you're welcome. You're so informative. Thank you. And I'm going to be checking out the Facebook page today for
Yes.
sure.
If you have an idea for a parenting show topic or guest, talk to us at ctn@a2gov.org.
Or for more on our programming and our services, visit a2gov.org/CTN and visit youtube.com/CTN and Arbor to watch a full lineup. And remember to like, subscribe, and to share. And thank you for joining us on this adventure in parenthood.